Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Okay, so first things first, I would like to give a big thank you to each and every one of you all for giving me so much support on my introduction video. I was not expecting that video to do that well. It did like 20 times better than my old introduction video, which blew me away completely. I was expecting maybe 200 views at most and a couple of likes, but nah, you all gave me over 1,000 views along with over I think now 300 likes. I haven't had a video get over 40 likes in 2 years. You guys are incredible. And I was so surprised that so many people watched the entire video. Most of the comments have chocolate bars at the end of them, which made me so happy. Once again, thank you all so much for your support. Now, I don't want this intro to be too long, so I'll save everything else I have to say for the outro. And now, let's get to the video. Alright, so on to the actual video. How do I animate? Now, I haven't exactly been asked this question with any comments or anything. People usually ask what I use to animate, which I will be answering, but I thought this would still be a nice video to make so you all can see my process. I can explain what I'm doing, and maybe I could motivate you all to animate as well, or give you some inspiration, which is what this channel is all about. Now, the apps I use to make all of my animations at the moment are Toonsquid and Capcut. That's it. I used to use Flip-a-Clip, but we all know what happened to that. How are you for real going to force me to pay a subscription and I still can't use more than 10 layers? Okay, I'll save that for another time. Anyways, Toonsquid and Capcut are my go-to apps I use for animation. Toonsquid for the animation itself and Capcut for the editing. Also, by the way, Toonsquid does cost $10 and it's only available on iPad, so yeah, there's that. It is 100% worth the money though, trust me. Okay, so quick update. Toonsquid just recently, as I'm recording this, had a big update. They have rigging now and many different effects to make your animation a lot more cinematic. So yes, if you have an iPad and really want a good animation app, Toonsquid is the way to go. Okay, let's get back to the video, but okay, here's a clip of my rigging. It sucks, but you know, at least I tried, okay? Okay, now let's for real go back. Now, as for Capcut, you can still use it and get some good edits out of it. Everything, unfortunately, is pro, but there's ways around it. It's kind of like doing math, but that's okay, I guess. Or you could just download an older version of the app, which is what I did. And fun fact, speaking of animation apps, I did try out Procreate Dreams, and I'll be honest, I won't say it's bad because I love the Procreate crew and the app itself, but the animation app needs a lot of work and it costs double the amount of Toonsquid, which it really isn't worth the price considering the amount of limits on there. There's not even an lasso tool, and if you don't have the latest iPad Pro or something, you won't even be able to have good quality, so yeah, just letting you guys know so your $20 can go to something more useful and not down the drain. And I did try out the animation features in the original Procreate app, and while it's decent, you can't import any audio, and it's a little bit of a headache for me to use, so I'd suggest maybe getting an app that is for animation and not a drawing app with an animation feature. I heard Clip Studio Paint was good, but I've never really used it before, so if you want to learn more about that, then I'd suggest going to another video. Now with all of that out the way, let's get some ideas. Alright, how I get my ideas. Now, for my animations, I get inspired by literally anything. I usually use Pinterest in case I need poses and good references, but a lot of times I'll just animate two characters interacting or maybe a small test as a warm-up. I haven't used audios for my animations in a hot minute, which I will be working on that. But if you want to find some good audios, I'd suggest going on TikTok to find them. There's a lot of meme audios on there you can use and accounts where you can get them from also. There's this one My Little Pony artist on there and they use these said audios for literally all of their videos. So if you want to practice lip syncing and such, I'd suggest going to their page. I'll leave a link in the description. I'd also like to recommend using videos as well or recording yourself so you can use that as a reference to capture the energy of what you're trying to animate. Right now, I'm trying to learn how to animate more movements such as walking or dancing, and on TikTok there are a lot of people on there who dance and act, some simple while others are more difficult. So if you want to get more practice, I'd suggest going on there and making a collection of these videos so you could save them for use later on. But if you can't access TikTok, you can find videos or audios using YouTube and Pinterest too, so no worries. Now let's go ahead and get to the storyboard. Alright, we are now on to the storyboard section. Now for the entire animation, I wanted to do something pretty simple so I could get my point across and my iPad wouldn't suffer. I was originally going to record myself doing this in real time as I explained what I was doing, but it's a little bit hard for me to focus like that without sounding like I can't speak English or me struggling to draw, so to make it easier for you guys and myself, I decided to screen record myself doing it instead and do a voiceover. That's okay. I mean, this isn't exactly supposed to be a tutorial anyway. I'm only showing and sort of explaining what I'm doing, so yeah. Also, apologies for any cuts in the recording. Some parts just didn't want to record at all, and I couldn't record longer than 20 minutes each due to my iPad storage, so I hope it's not too distracting for you guys. Now, back on topic, I decided to animate one of my favorite characters at the moment, Pomni from the Amazing Digital Circus. I think I said that correctly. Well, actually no, I think I spoke English correctly. Her design is literally eye candy and the show itself is super awesome, so if you haven't checked it out yet, I really recommend it, especially if you're a fan of cartoony and colorful designs like me. So for this storyboard, I'm trying not to make it too detailed, but Pomni's design isn't really that complex at all, so I got the storyboard finished in a decent amount of time. I wanted to also practice making my animations move more instead of looking like stiff robots, so I wanted her to be facing to the side, maybe dozing off, then she looks at the camera and turns her head to the camera. Nothing too complex, but nothing too boring. If I were to give each step of the process a rating, I'd definitely rate the storyboarding process a 10 out of 10. Definitely the easiest part. All I had to do was draw 3 frames and move on to the next step. Also pretty random, but Toonsquid has this super amazing feature where you can extend a layer instead of copy and pasting it 100 times if you want it to be there longer than a split second, along with doing it to multiple frames at the same time. So yeah, I just think that feature is really helpful, especially when working on storyboards. And here is the finished result of the storyboard. Very simple and easy, 10 out of 10. Now let's get to the rough animation. Now we're on to the rough animation. So usually when I'm about to do rough animation, most of the time since my storyboards are detailed enough, I can just copy and paste the frames I have, put them into a new project, and just do in-betweens instead of drawing it. Which is what I ended up doing with this animation. The FPS, aka frames per second, I use is 15. I'm planning on maybe going up in the future so I can make my animations a lot smoother. Maybe I could go up to 16 and then 18. I'm skipping 17 because that number is just too odd for me personally, and maybe I could even do 20, but I'm trying to take baby steps so I don't end up making something horrific. I'm not in a rush at all, so I'll do that whenever I feel ready. Now back to talking about the animation. I want to make sure gravity and everything exists in this animation. I want to make sure Pomni's hair moves along with her hat. Everything else can just stay still as per usual. And I want to make sure I add ease to the frames. You know, like making the next frame move slightly more compared to the last one. It's kind of like using the brakes in a car. You don't want to just stomp on the brake. You want to ease on the brakes. Because stomping in the brakes does not feel good at all. While choppy animation can look really good depending on how it's done, when I do it, it doesn't look good, trust me. So I'm avoiding that choppiness as much as I can. Also pretty random, but I low-key wouldn't mind possibly tweening again, especially now that Toonsquid has a rigging feature. I mean, that'll probably take me a minute to learn, but you know, still. I used to tween a lot when I was a gacha kid, not with Toonsquid, but you know, still. And I feel like I could do even better now since I have a lot more experience, especially with art. So if you guys want to see that, then I would love to be like testing out apps and stuff for a video, so you know, yeah, just putting that out there. And now we have completed the rough animation, and here is the finished result. I love how it turned out, and I rate this step a 9 out of 10. But it is still pretty easy, especially with a design like this. Animation in general is still pretty challenging. Now let's get to the line art. Okay, so we have made it to the line art. So this one is pretty self-explanatory. It's basically just finishing a sketch and then doing the line art right after. Except this time I have to do it over and over again. But thankfully, because this animation is more simple, it wasn't too difficult. So, phew. Now, this step for me is probably the hardest part. While I do actually enjoy line art when I'm making a finished piece of art, for animation it can be pretty challenging because my sketch lines are pretty thick compared to my line art lines, and sometimes the proportions can mess up because of that. Some parts end up too thin or too wide, and it can be a little bit of a hassle to fix that in animation compared to when I'm doing a finished piece, since I'm going off of rough animation, aka multiple frames compared to just one sketch. That's way easier to fix. Thankfully, I didn't have to worry about that too much since, you know, for the 1 millionth time, this animation is simpler for my own sake, so thank goodness. Now, I'm going to let you guys sit back and relax and to enjoy this short little montage of me finishing up the line art. Feel free to grab a snack, grab a glass of water, make sure to stay hydrated, and enjoy! With the line art, here is the finished result of it. I think it turned out great and it's just as smooth as the rough animation. 6 out of 10. Simple, but still a little challenging step. Now let's grab our crayons and get to coloring. And we have finally made it to our second to last final step, the coloring and shading. So the coloring is pretty easy as per usual. All I need is the bucket tool and I'm good. But unfortunately, in Toonsquid, there's this weird thing where it'll have these weird white edges you have to fill in manually, which is a little annoying, but I've been able to get around that by using a lasso tool, and it helps the process go by a bit faster. As for the shading, I do it in the anime styled way. In anime, they usually add, you know, darker areas or just shading to like the clothing and some parts of the hair, but then we'll only add like highlights to the hair. And I really enjoy that method, so I decided to add that to my animation style as well, since I feel like, I don't know, I do that because I want it to look more finished and not plain looking, you know? I also have this thing where I'll make it fade dark to the lower part of the character. I'll make it draw a long curved line at the bottom of the character, maybe using a dark blue or purple blended, and then set the blending mode to multiply, lower the opacity to give off a cool effect. And I'll also do the same to the top of the character by using a lighter shade of pink or purple blended, and then set the blending mode to add and change the opacity, lowering it. Don't forget to make those same layers, click to the base color layer, and that's basically it. And here is the finished result of the animation as a whole, technically. I'd rate this step of the process a 10 out of 10 since it is very easy and one of the easiest parts of animating as a whole. Now, let's get to the editing. And now to our final step, the editing process. Now, this step is most definitely the easiest part. So first, I open up my handy dandy editing app, Capcut, the old version since the new one has pro everything. Can you believe that in order to extract audio from a video in your gallery, it costs money now? At least on computer or something. There's no way I'm paying for that, so I'm using the version from 2023 in case anyone's asking. Anyways, back on topic, what I do with the editing is import my animation clip, then I go to the effects section and grab those noise, no, not those, but that noise filter, which is favorited since I use it a lot. Then I'll go ahead and apply that and maybe edit it a little, that way it doesn't make my animations hard to see. And then I import my super awesome new watermark and put that on the side. Then I change the opacity since it's a watermark and I'm technically finished, but because I like to experiment, I decided to try out some more filters and effects here and there to make the animation look even better, which it turned out great. Here is the finished result of the animation. This step was 100% the easiest. I'd rate it in 100 out of 10. The best step after working so hard on completing an animation. I hope all of this was a little helpful and maybe motivational to get you all to animate as well. Usually seeing other people draw motivates me to do the same, so hopefully that's the case here as well. Now with all that being said, let's get to the outro. And we have made it to the outro. I would like to thank each and every one of you guys for watching to this point. I hope this video was a little bit helpful and you enjoyed my silly little process. If you watched to this point, I want you to comment the croissant emoji at the end of your comment and I'll give you a shout out in the next video. And speaking of shout outs, don't think I forgot about the shout outs I need to give you all from my introduction video. Thank you all so much for watching that video in its entirety, and here are all of you guys guys' shoutouts. There are so many of you, and I don't want to accidentally mispronounce any usernames, so I'll leave all of you guys on the screen for a couple of seconds each. You guys had me smiling for an entire week from the amount of support, especially from Bree. Dude, I was literally shocked when I saw the notification that she commented on my video. And Bree, if you're watching this, I just want to say that you are literally one of my favorite artists. I love your coloring so much. Bright colors, big eyes, and everything in your art is literally my thing. Please keep drawing. Please, your art tastes like gummies. And with all of that being said, I hope you all liked the video, and thank you so much for making it this far. I have so much stuff planned for this channel, including an entire giant list I spent the majority of last year making, and I hope you all enjoy every last one, including this one. My next video will be me for the first time bringing some OCs onto the channel. I'll talk about their lore, dynamics with other characters, relationships, and more, so make sure to stay tuned for that. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away in the comments. I'll leave my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, I guess, in the description if you guys would like to follow me on those, along with my Discord server if you want to join that as well. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!